I meant to kill all three of them.
On April 4th, 2015, a crime that was as brutal as it was calculated was flaunted for the entire world to see. This is the story of Amanda Taylor, a young mother who gave herself a chilling nickname, the Brunette Bomber, and her spiral from a troubled past into a murderous rampage, one that she actually documented with a selfie.
So where does a story like this even begin? Well, for us, it starts not with the killer, but with the aftermath. We're in a quiet home in a small Virginia town, where a single phone call is about to shatter everything.
The date is April 4th, 2015. We're in Christiansburg, Virginia. Imagine this. A family member, worried because they haven't heard from him, goes to check on Charles Taylor. They walk into his home, and what they discover inside is the beginning of an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, that line, that's from the actual 911 call. You can just feel the shock in their voice. They go on to say, "I don't hear that he's breathing." The scene the police walked into was one of just unimaginable violence. But the biggest question wasn't just who did this, it was why.
And to get to that why, you really have to understand the who. The investigation zeroed in pretty quickly on Charles Taylor's 24-year-old daughter-in-law, Amanda Taylor. But her path to this moment, well, it was paved with years of trouble and a dark, almost inherited obsession.
I mean, just look at this timeline. Amanda's history reads like a tragic countdown. You've got charges as a young teen, screaming threats in her high school, just one warning sign after another. Her life was this spiral of minor crimes and instability. But the one event that seems to have truly pushed her over the edge was when her estranged husband, Rex Taylor, took his own life. And that was just 8 months before the murder.
According to Amanda's friend, Mariah, her grief, it wasn't really grief at all. It was more like she was consumed by her late husband, Rex. And from what everyone who knew them said, it was Rex who first pulled her into this really sinister world of, well, dark fascinations.
And Rex, he wasn't just some guy with a morbid curiosity about serial killers. No, he was completely immersed in their culture. We're talking writing letters to an imprisoned killer named Paul Runge, and even changing his own social media name to Rex Runge. So when Rex died, it's like Amanda didn't just mourn him, it's as if she absorbed his entire dark identity, believing they had some kind of twisted destiny together.
So she started building this whole public persona around that darkness. As the Brunette Bomber, she would go online and glorify killers, people like Timothy McVeigh and the Columbine shooters. She wasn't keeping these thoughts private, she was broadcasting them, curating an online character that wanted the same kind of merciless infamy she idolized.
Okay, so she has the motive, this obsession. But she knew she couldn't pull this off alone. She needed an accomplice. And not just anyone. She needed someone she could control. And that's where Sean Ball comes in. Their relationship, well, that would become the final catastrophic piece of this whole puzzle.
And their dynamic was just dangerously one-sided. You have Sean, who was totally infatuated with her. He saw himself as her protector, the guy she'd been waiting for. But Amanda? She just saw him as a tool. Her friend Mariah even recalled Amanda saying she could control him like he's a dog. For her, he was simply a means to an end.
Then, just 1 week before the murder, things take a really fateful turn. It was Amanda's 24th birthday, and Sean got her a gift, a large knife. Now, in his mind, maybe it was just an empty gesture. But in her mind, that was the weapon she'd been waiting for. That was what she needed to put her plan into motion.
And that very same night, she has this violent, drunken outburst with that exact knife. The police get involved, and she's taken to a psychiatric hospital. This was it. This was the chance to stop everything that was about to happen. But after telling the staff she wanted to kill her own children, she was somehow allowed to check herself out after only a few days. The system just completely failed. So now, she has it all. She's got an accomplice wrapped around her finger and a weapon in her hand. Amanda was finally ready to turn all those dark fantasies into a truly brutal reality.
Her target? Her father-in-law, Charles Taylor. She blamed him for Rex's drug problems. But this was not some spur-of-the-moment act of passion. No, Amanda later confessed she planned the murder for exactly 3:27 p.m. Why? Because that number was significant to a date she shared with her late husband, Rex. This was a cold, calculated, almost ritualistic killing.
Charles Taylor was stabbed 31 times. This wasn't just murder. This was overkill, fueled by a deep, personal rage.
And then she did something that would define this entire case. In the immediate aftermath, with Charles Taylor's body on the floor, Amanda posed for a selfie. She's holding the knife,
and she takes a photo and later posts it online. There was no remorse, just this chilling pride in what she'd done. And that's how she became the selfie killer. So, after the murder, Amanda and Sean are on the run. But, a partnership like that, it was never going to last. It was about to completely collapse in on itself, leading to confessions that would finally reveal the full, horrifying truth. Get this. In the interrogation room, Amanda tries to spin this whole yarn, painting Sean as this violent combat veteran who just loved to kill. But her story started unraveling almost immediately. For one thing, Sean had never even been in the military. His version of events told a very, very different story. One of a man completely manipulated and, in the end, betrayed.
You see, her accomplice had served his purpose. Now, he was just a liability. So while they were driving on the scenic Blue Ridge Parkway, Amanda turned on Sean. She shot him in the face, pushed him out of the car, and just left him for dead, thinking her secret was safe. She then fled in his Jeep all alone.
But here's the twist that nobody saw coming. Sean survived. He was found by some people passing by and, despite his horrific injuries, was able to tell the police everything. The pawn she thought she had just sacrificed, he had just become the star witness against her. Her whole web of lies was completely undone.
And with Sean's testimony, the trial was, well, incredibly fast. It took the jury less than 30 minutes to find Amanda Taylor guilty. She was sentenced to life in prison. As for Sean Ball, he took a plea deal for his part as an accomplice and was sentenced to 60 years.
This whole case leaves you with this really chilling question, right? I mean, Sean Ball was definitely a willing accomplice. There's no denying that. But he was also so deeply manipulated by a cold, calculating killer. And it makes you wonder, in a relationship this toxic, where does one person's manipulation end and another's accountability truly begin?